Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Wellness Blueprints. I'm Jess Milner. So glad you're here to nourish your roots with me today. And I want to talk about rainy days. It is a rainy day here in North Idaho where I am today. But, throughout the summer, we have rainy days. Not every day is a bright, sunny, hot day where you're going to go outside and do all these things. So, how do we keep ourselves grounded on these rainy days? So there is, the truth, go outside, remember where you are. I remember reading somebody said like their grandmother used to go outside and let her feet touch the ground, no matter what time of year it was, what it was doing outside, because it reminded her of where the hell she is, right? So that's an awesome thing to do. We don't always want to go outside when it's raining, though, and that's okay. But the rain really does help an anxious nervous system. The barometric pressure changes and there's not as much light, so that you're not exposed to quite as much light. And there's that repetitive sound frequency, which can really, really be awesome and encourage your parasympathetic nervous system, your vagus nerve to turn on, so that you can calm and rest, digest, and heal. So, how are we supposed to, get grounded on these rainy days, if we don't want to go outside? So, I have composed a list here. Okay, one of them might involve going outside, but, let's go through these things here because, a rainy day can really be awesomely grounding for you. And it's wonderful to kind of like roll with nature and everything because that means you're aligned with where you are. And that's the whole alignment is the whole name of the game, right? So the first one, so absolutely simple, just reflection, a window and a warm mug. So, brew yourself a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever. And you're holding this warm ceramic and you're just watching the rain and you're listening to the rain, this will slow down your breathing and it calms an overactive mind and your sympathetic dominance, and it'll make you, if you have like a floating feeling, just bring you back down. So, how simple, just like watch and breathe. You will start to regulate with what you're watching, with the rain that you're hearing and you're watching. Another one would be like a sensory reset because it is low lighting. So instead of using like the big like overhead lights you might have in your house, use lamps, use candles, maybe put on some soft music, whatever you want. Weighted blanket. Oh my gosh, cannot recommend enough. I love a weighted blanket, but this is really awesome for just a dysregulated, anxious nervous system. The weighted blanket and those lower lights and everything. People who suffer from ADHD, or some sort of neurotypical something, neurospicy kind of thing, neurodivergent. That was the word I was looking for. They talk about not liking having the big light on, or needing a warning before the big light overhead turns on, and because with that all that light. So when it is a lower light outside, turning those things down, even if you're not neurodivergent, it can absolutely help to regulate your nervous system. So yeah. Okay, so another one we're going to talk about plants. Now, like on a rainy day, like today, like I don't need to go outside and water my plants. I could go outside and touch them if I want to, or I could go and touch and trim or mist water, repot. Probably not going to do that, but sometimes, I tend to do that outside. But you could do that with your indoor plants, and this is very, very grounding because contact with water and dirt and roots obviously going to be very grounding because those things are naturally in the ground there. So that is another way that you can do that. And your plants will probably like to be misted because they're looking out the window like, how come I don't have all that water? So you can help them out. Okay, so this one you don't have to do only when it's raining, but this can be really fun. Sometimes when it's raining, it makes you think of it, but like an intentional shower grounding. Have you ever done this? So you're in there, you just feel the pressure, like actually get present and feel the pressure. And then just imagine all of the tension just draining down the drain. It's coming right off of you and draining away. Maybe you have some eucalyptus or cedar scents in there, your soaps or something. I used to keep my eucalyptus right in the shower. Sometimes I have it in there because then just right there. Oh, so lovely, so lovely. And then have like a little cool water to finish, especially on your feet when you're finishing that up after that intentional. But it really gets you out of that feeling like I'm stuck in my head because it's being stuck in our head. That sucks. Your head can be a scary place. So this helps you get out of there and come back to where you actually are, right? So another favorite is a mineral foot soak. Okay. So, not like necessarily like the ionic foot bath that's going to like put like, the special ones that, we had in the clinic and stuff like that. Those are fantastic, but you can do something at home if you don't have that fancy thing, just a mineral foot soak. There are minerals, ions, in the wet soil and our bodies crave them. Those negative ions is, when you smell that wet soil and everything. So, soaking your feet in, like a magnesium soak, an Epsom soak, you can make your own at home. There's all kinds of like soaps that you can use. It's fantastic. If you're always cold, adding a little ginger powder is like a good thing to do because that can help you. And then when you're finished with your foot soak, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever you're going to do, put both feet flat on the floor. I'm doing this as if you can see my feet right now. Both feet flat on the floor for 5 minutes and just be quiet after. It really just helps to pull together that practice and ground everything. This is fantastic for anxiety, dysautonomia, and like you feel like it, you feel like you have like a buzzing energy, like your whole energy is like bzzz. This can really help with that. So excellent, right? All right. So another one would be like just like, brain to paper, like just dump all of your thoughts. Okay. Rain naturally encourages inward processing. Okay. So, because like it encourages you to stay inside a little bit more. You're not going to do all your outdoor activities quite as much. I mean, if you have to go out to feed your animals and this, that, and the other thing, obviously you got to go outside for some stuff. But you're inside more. It naturally encourages this inward processing. So this is a great time to just like sit down and just like write down every thought loop that you have. Don't organize it. Don't try to fix anything. Just write it down, empty out all of those thoughts, because this is going to stop your nervous system from constantly rehearsing threats, these threat loops, so that you're constantly like, it's going to help to just get it all down. And then, like I said, don't try to fix it or organize it or anything. Just write it down. Okay. Getting it out. Sometimes you're like, I need to vent, need to get it off my chest. Same idea. Okay. So here's the one where we go outside, but a rain walk. This is like pretty underrated because we don't, we're like, oh, I don't know if I really want to do this. So let me explain. This is not for exercise. Okay. I'm not talking about going for your power walk, if you still want to go for your jog or your run or whatever, like that's fine if you want to do that. But I'm talking about going on one like just for your nervous system. So, you're noticing the sounds, you're noticing the temperature, you're smelling the wet soil. Okay. Noticing the colors. I mean, everything gets so much more green when it's raining. Right now we have a little patch of sun outside. So I see like the sun glistening on like the green, but I can still see like the dark gray blue clouds on the other side of the green trees. There's just so much going on out there. I did close the window because I thought that the rain sound might sound funny on the podcast. I thought about it. But going for that rain walk, it really brings the awareness back to your body because you're noticing all of these things around you and remembering where the hell you are. So, that's something. And then you can do the reflection thing with your warm mug when you get back, when you're nice and dry. And then, it'll slow your breathing again after your walk. I'm going to talk about weight and pressure again, because, I talked about the weighted blanket, which I absolutely love my weighted blanket. Now it's on my bed. I don't like, have it out all the time, but my girls love it too. Now, another one would be just lying on the floor. I noticed this, one of my daughters, when she was younger, she would just like randomly lay on the floor when she was overwhelmed. She was grounding herself. It's a natural thing to do. If you see kids that just kind of like lay down on the floor, that is grounding. So, like you naturally, your body's just like, lie down, let's calm down here. You can hug a pillow to your chest too. This kind of thing with the weighted blanket lying on the floor, that is really good for anxiety and dysautonomia as well. So that's pretty awesome. Another one, make something slow. This gets a little bit different. Like, in the summer, you're like, I don't really want to have anything like, like on the pot or anything, but you could still make some tea. You could even be making iced tea. It's still brewing slowly, but soup or bread or like a simmer pot, make it smell nice in the house. But this is going to help to calm the limbic system, to have something slowly going like that. And then, all right, my last one is a storm release visualization. So, similar to like being in the shower and visualizing all that stuff, when the storm is coming down, like if it's absolutely pouring, you don't have to go out there. Maybe you're on the porch, you're just at the window, whatever, but you hear these sounds, right? And you just visualize like all of this emotional charge, like all of these emotional charges that are all over, and they're washing down with the rain. It's washing down and it's all falling down. And you can just see the rain, washing your nervous system clean and just like getting rid of these things that you do not need. Okay. So this heaviness that you feel starts to just leave through your feet, through your roots. Okay. If you are doing this in the shower, you might notice that your feet are completely like suction cupped to the shower floor at this point, like when you're doing it like that. That might also happen on your porch or standing in your kitchen or wherever you are while you're doing this, but visualize all of that just draining out of you and heading back down into the earth. So that one is amazing for people who have chronic tension. Just that visualization, the intention of you releasing the tension, The English language is so much fun. But really, that is absolutely a fantastic thing to do there. Because chronic tension is it leads to so much more. Somebody who has a lot of anxiety and buzzing energy and things like that, but it's all, and it sits all up in this area. So, rain, go away, come back another day, or we can just embrace the rain and use this. It's a great way to kind of roll with nature and everything. So share this with somebody who might need some rainy day tips, somebody who needs to figure out how to align with what is going on. Remember where the hell you are so that you can be grounded with where you are, so that your body remembers where it is. Because so often we are off in our head so much, our anxiety is there, all of that. We're off in our head so much that our body's like, well, hey, we're over here. And our head just doesn't even recognize it. And then the two are just not aligned. So let's get those two back together and more aligned. So please share this with somebody who would benefit from it. Remember to hit subscribe and leave me a 5-star review. And thanks so much for stopping in. I hope that you are enjoying whatever weather you have. And when you have a rainy day, please come back to this episode and let me know which one of these is your absolute favorite. Stay grounded, guys.